All right, man, peace. So, brothers, thus far in his very brief NBA career, Markelle Fultz has dealt with a lot of stumbling blocks, a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations, and a lot of travail. So we're going to get an opportunity to find out exactly what he's made of. And for him, he should be looking at this time period as an evaluation time period for everybody around him. Because it's when you're at the bottom that you find out exactly who's in your corner and exactly how people have felt about you the whole time. So you should never lament when you go through trials and tribulations. You should never ever lament or mourn when you're going through adversity, because that's when the snakes get revealed. That's when the snakes get revealed. So if you're Markelle Fultz, that's how you have to be looking at this time period in your life. Because at the end of the day, he's still 6'4", 6'5", an extremely high level athlete. He's a person that numerous professional franchises in the NBA are willing to invest their money in. So he has to look at it like that. He can't look at it like he's the biggest bust in the history of the NBA. Even though, just to be real with you, he has the potential to be that. He has the potential to be that. But right now, the door is still open for him to be a success. So anyway, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman are going to ask the hypothetical question of whether or not Markelle Fultz is the biggest draft bust, or at least the biggest #1 draft pick who may be a bust in the history of the NBA. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Stephen A., I don't want to be callous when I ask this question, because I know Markelle Fultz is facing a lot of personal demons, which is none of my business.
Well, if it's none of your business, why are you bringing it up? Obviously, it is your business. And at the end of the day, Markelle Fultz is a public figure. And it will probably behoove him to be relatively honest about what he's going through, so that it will be easier for the fans at large, if he cares about such a thing, or for his teammates or for his franchise to fully understand why he's going through what he's going through, because it's very apparent that he's having some type of psychological issue or breakdown.
And I can't imagine what it's like
he's
to
still
deal
a kid,
with.
by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, what is he, like 20, 21 years old?
I don't want to be insensitive to that, but is he the biggest bust as a #1 pick?
No. The biggest bust at the #1 overall draft pick that I can remember is Greg Odom. And they're going to cover him later on in this segment. Max Kellerman will state that Greg Odom, you can't count him as being the #1 overall bust because he was injured. Well, health is a part of your ability to fulfill what they think or what they prognosticate your future to be in the NBA. That's why you'll hear numerous athletes state that the best ability is availability. If you can't be available, you cannot ever be fruitful. So I have to look at Greg Oden. And then on top of that, the #2 overall draft pick that year was Kevin Durant, who's going to finish his career arguably being one of the top 10 players in the history of the NBA, arguably. I mean, it's almost certain that he's going to finish his career at the very lowest in the top 20. But he still has the chance to finish top 10 all time. We'll see how many championships Kevin Durant wins.
He will be, if he doesn't turn this around. There's still time. There's still hope. He's only 20 years old. So there's still time for him to turn this around, and certainly the opportunity is there for him.
And he's still a baby, 20 years old.
And I'm glad you said it the way that you said it, because obviously I've said on several occasions that we have been on this show, he's got a lot of personal things that's going on that have nothing to do with basketball.
Yes, clearly that means he has a lot of pressures being put on him by his family, most likely by his mother, but who knows? I'm not going to put that entirely on her. But I tell brothers this all the time. When you're striving to become better in your life, in your career, or what have you, it's best that you be as solitary as possible. It really is. Because what you'll find is that when you're focused on a goal, having too many people around you will just weigh you down and wear you down, because you have to be concerned about what they want or how happy they are. You have to go through your metamorphosis by yourself, so that when you make that transformation, you can greet the world as the person that you're meant to be, as opposed to having to go through all these struggles and also trying to appease all these other people who really don't matter while you're going through the process.
That has drastically affected his ability to play basketball at an elite level, particularly on a consistent basis. And because of that, we talk about the shoulder injury, and we talk about how bad his shot was thereafter, where he couldn't even attempt to jump. It was like a jerk, and then like Charles Barkley swinging a golf club, and you just got that motion or whatever. That's how bad his shot got. But that's not the reason I'm saying that he's on the verge of being the biggest
That's a damn shame when you pull up for a 16-foot jump shot and the whole stadium stands up hoping you're going to make the shot and you brick it.
Biggest bust. It's because that, coupled with those personal demons that have gotten in the way of him playing the game of basketball and focusing to the degree where he can get himself better. If this doesn't change, I don't know of any first overall pick.
Well,
Anthony Bennett.
Oh, you're going to save that?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying all of those names. You can come up with any name you want to.
Yeah, I'm going to.
But no, it wouldn't be.
The answer is Anthony Bennett. Thanks for bringing it up. It's Anthony Bennett, of course. And by the way, good for Anthony Bennett, who's lighting up the G League now, trying to change his script, trying to change his fate.
Anthony Bennett was a huge bust, but I cannot put him up there with Markelle Fultz. Right now, Markelle Fultz is trending towards being the biggest bust in the history of the NBA as a #1 overall draft pick if he does not turn this around. Because he's going to go down not just as a physical failure, but as a mental failure. That's why he has to look at this as a great challenge.
It's not over for Anthony Bennett yet. Keep doing your thing, absolutely. But like Greg Oden, that was injury. That's not his fault.
It does not quite work like that, Max Kellerman. If you can't stay healthy, it's going to be considered your fault.
Kwame Brown had a useful career, obviously not what you'd expect.
The problem with Kwame Brown was that he had an NBA-ready body, but he had the hands of a 7-year-old girl. I mean, this dude had tiny-ass hands. That's why both Michael and Kobe couldn't stand his ass.
Not what you'd expect from the first overall pick. But Anthony Bennett is the answer. He was awful in the NBA. If he eventually changes that, power to him. I'm rooting for him. But as of this moment, it's Anthony Bennett by far. Look, Markelle Fultz has not been drafted the number of years ago. Was not drafted the number of years ago Anthony Bennett was. What have we seen from Fultz so far? It's really very simple. As you mentioned, lots of problems in his personal life, apparently affecting his shot more than anything. He forgot how to shoot the ball.
Right, but one of the problems in his personal life was that he got into a motorcycle accident. So that tells me that he's not too swift. That also tells me that he was already ready to live an NBA life before he was an actual success. Sometimes you have to pump the brakes and slow it down before you're anywhere near approaching where you'd like things to go. At least make sure that you're trending towards the right direction before you start getting on motorcycles and things of that nature. And of course, it's not really advisable for professional athletes to be on motorcycles anyway.
Markelle Fultz was taken #1 overall in a draft that included not only Lonzo Ball, who was highly touted, and Jason Tatum, who had a polished game already, but also guys like De'Aaron Fox, who were very athletic, competitive, and also had some polish. But the thought was about Fultz, he had a certain polish to his game, but also had the most upside as an athlete. He was...
Yes, allegedly.
Was different athletically than Lonzo or Tatum or anyone like that. That's why he went #1 overall. That athletic ability hasn't gone anywhere.
I never understood why he went #1 overall. He was not even able to transform his college team. I believe that his college team had a losing record. So for your college team to have a losing record and you just happen to be a relatively high scorer in the Pac-12, I believe he came out of, I think that he was in the same division as Lonzo Ball. That's not impressing me. You have to at least be a transformative force in college before you come into the NBA as a #1 overall draft pick.
If he just gets the shot together, he will overnight become a valuable player.
Max Kellerman. If he just gets the shot together, he'll overnight become a valuable player. That's like saying if Gary Coleman could grow another 1.5 feet, maybe he could be Denzel Washington. That's a big, big, big stumbling block that this brother has to get over. Let's just support him and hope that he can find his path. Not even that he's going to reach his goal. Hopefully he can at least get on the path towards a goal, because he's way behind right now.
It is way too early to call him the #1 over all-time bust.
I'm not quite sure about that. He's trending in that direction very sharply. But once again, this is a good time period for him, because now that he's down, he'll have the opportunity to figure out exactly who's in his corner. And hopefully he'll have the discernment to cut off certain people who need to be cut off. Because once again, brothers, in life is about who and what you cut off, not who and what you add onto your life. Most people come into your life to see what they can get from you, not what they can add to you.
So far, that distinction, by the way, and even it may be early for Anthony Bennett, but at this moment, it is clear Anthony Bennett is the answer.
Anthony Bennett played 151 games and averaged 4 points a game. I get where you're coming from. But what I'm trying to say is that It would be one thing if Markelle Fultz was injured. It would be another. It would be one thing if he had these issues off the court.
Thank you, sir. I agree.
But that impeded his ability to play at all, and we never saw him. The problem was what we saw, particularly with that shot and the manner in which it was compromised from the time he was drafted to the time that he ended up in the NBA, was so disastrous. We're looking at it from that perspective, and that's where I'm coming from.
You're saying that Fultz had a higher upside than Bennett?
He had a higher upside A. He had a higher upside A, and B, it was because we had just seen him a few months earlier. We literally, you and I both sit and scratch our head like, what the hell has been done to this guy?
Right.
We just saw him a few months ago.
No doubt. But if it was done, it can be undone. And it's still early.
That's what I'm saying. If it's not undone.
Fultz just put.
I agree with Stephen A. Smith. If it's not undone, he is trending in that direction. As of right now, would I call him the number one overall bust amongst number one draft picks? No. But he's heading in that direction. Who the hell knows what really happened to this guy? Maybe he attended a sports psychiatrist and he got the whammy put on him. I guess we'll find out down the line. But as for right now, the official cover story, or the official story, let me not say cover story. The official story is that he's succumbing to familial pressure and he's starting to wilt underneath that pressure. Hopefully he can move past that and grow beyond it and reach whatever potential he's meant to reach in the NBA. Because I would hate to see a cat this young, 20 years old, not be able to reach, at least a modicum of what he wanted to reach. I remember he made an appearance on the show The Jump with Rachel Nichols, and Scottie Pippen was on air at that time. And Scottie Pippen asked him what his goals were. And he had the nerve to look at Scottie Pippen, Markelle Fultz I'm talking about, had the nerve to look at Scottie Pippen and say, I want to be the MVP of the NBA in my rookie year. And Scottie just shook his head and laughed. But, it's amazing. The higher the aspirations, the farther the fall. So once again, hopefully he'll be able to pick himself up. Peace.